Let me run this idea for a game past you. Pole Position meets Tony Hawk's Pro Skater meets Street Fighter. Sounds cool, right? If only there was a game exactly like that. What you just saw is the indie title Buck Up and Drive by illustrator and game developer Fabio Fontes. Episode 2 of my indie fighting game showcase will take a look at this fascinating approach to blending genres. Available on Steam and itch.io, Buck Up and Drive is 2 games in one. Its main mode is Endless Road, where you race between checkpoints across various levels while trying to avoid other drivers. It's the classic high score based infinite racer, and it does a really good job in that area. Importantly, the soundtrack is perfect for this style of game. Joining you on your many journeys from point A to point B is a steady rock beat that keeps the energy up and never gets annoying. I'd be shocked if the track was longer than 30 seconds, but it doesn't need to be any more than that. It somehow manages to fit just as well when you're cruising through the first few levels as it does in a tense rush to get to the next checkpoint before the timer runs out. There is a variety of ways to boost your speed in Buck Up and Drive, but none is more important than drifting. Done by using the left bumper, though the game does allow you to remap the controls, drifting is the game's core mechanic. That may sound unremarkable given how common drifting is in the racing genre, but Buck Up and Drive takes the mechanic in an interesting direction. On the right side of the screen is your boost meter. It fills up as you drift, and its changing colors determine how powerful your boost is. Now here's where things get interesting. Along with unlocking speed boosts, Buck Up and Drive's drifting system also unlocks the ability to do Street Fighter style hurricane kicks with your whole car. And yes, it does have the same input as Street Fighter's famous Tatsumaki. To go along with this, the directional input changes depending on the direction you're drifting, as the move is always a quarter circle back in Street Fighter. If you're drifting to the left, you'll have to do the quarter circle input to the right, and vice versa. This is one of the few ways the game lets you bypass traffic, let's say. Or in simpler terms, you can hurricane drift other drivers off the road. But be careful, because doing this or any other street clearing move too often will have the cops coming out to try to run you down, and your fellow drivers aren't gonna be too happy with you either. Now while you can go through those adversaries, you can also just outrun them. Boost pads are placed all over the streets and give a nice temporary jolt. But boost ramps work together with the game's many guardrails to offer a longer lasting solution. As if your 2-ton hunk of metal were a skateboard, you're able to grind rails at 250 miles an hour and retain the speed boost from the ramp. These two are also the easiest ways to rack up a higher score. Hitting any direction on your controller while in midair will have your car doing different flip tricks. Hitting down twice while in midair will make your car perform a dive bomb that explodes other cars out of the way. But its incredibly cool endless driving mode isn't why Buck Up and Drive is getting its own spotlight in my indie fighting game series. No, that would be because of its other mode, Shifty Gear. Shifty Gear takes the cool moves from Endless Road and turns them into a vehicular fighting game with just a few alterations to the controls. You're set alongside another car and battle it out on the Endless Road until one of you has no health left. An expanded moveset now sees the left bumper used as a jump button when no direction is held, and hitting down plus the left bumper in the air will perform the dive bomb. In addition to the hurricane drift, a projectile has been added in the form of the peel-out shot. You can also perform small bumps into your opponent by double tapping left or right, basically acting as this game's version of jabs. I got the sense while playing this mode that there's something waiting to be tapped into here, a fascinating prototype for what a side-by-side vehicle fighting game could be. On its own, Shifty Gear is a great offbeat addition to an equally creative take on another genre. Buck Up and Drive feels like a game I'll be playing a lot more of in the coming months. Endless Road is incredibly fun, and Shifty Gear really surprised me. There aren't many different moves, but there are a lot of different ways to jockey for space and get yourself in good position. That's the most fun part of fighting games for me, figuring out how I can get to where I want to go in different ways. Doing that at 200 miles an hour on an open road with another car trying to spin me out turned out to be quite the experience. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. I've got plenty more videos on the way. More indie fighters to spotlight, more Pokemon histories, and hopefully another Plus R Diaries video in the near future. Anyways, peace.